Kristian, it's good to have you come by our offices here at ROCKLINC and be able to talk to you about the business. And for many of our clients, they're not aware that we actually have made a small investment in your company, and that sits in our ROCKLINC Partners Fund. So we invested about $300,000 US, and so that represents a couple percent of the fund. And so I thought it'd be interesting to have you come by and just talk really about this company, about this investment, and it'll give a lot of our clients a good feeling for why we invested, what the business is all about, and some of the future prospects. So, if you could start, you are this is Kristian Tazbazian, and he's the co-founder of Gastronomist. That's a big word, and a good tough one to keep, but you certainly remember it, Gastronomist. And he's a co-founder and also the chief operating officer, and sort of a lot of the energy behind the business. So maybe if you could just give us a quick overview of the business. We'll go into the specifics and some of the opportunities, an overview of the business and some of the key players in the company. I found it very interesting. Again, some of the folks that are in the business that are very successful already in building a business, selling that business, and bringing it to market and crystallizing a lot of value. So maybe just talk a little bit overview and some of the key players that are on your team.
Most definitely. Thank you very much first for having me, Jonathan. It's been a pleasure, and we're very glad to have ROCKLINC on board as a partner. And this is just the beginning. So a little on Gastronomist. So we started in 2020. We do have a very interesting team dynamic. So my partners, so there's three co-founders, myself, my two partners. They come from the automotive space. So when my grandfather came to Canada in the early 80s, he started a business called Sumo Corp. And in the late 90s, they got an opportunity to go into manufacturing for Magna. Long story short, over the corresponding 2 decades, they grew that business into quite a prominent, medium-sized tier 2 auto parts manufacturer here in Burlington. Southern Ontario is huge for auto parts manufacturing, but the way that they really stood out was through their innovation, they had a tech center of a few dozen mechanical, electrical engineers. And one of my current co-founders, Andrew, was the head of that department. So in that business, automotive, very cutthroat, very competitive. You're trying to squeeze every cent. And they were building these huge multi-million-dollar lines, which allowed them to really, in a global sense, be the most competitive, most efficient for their said products. So, I think that background is a testament as to who we are as a business, and that's a group of innovators, a group of manufacturers who enjoy solving challenging problems. Whether before it was in the automotive space, today it's in the food service space.
And when we were by, we met Andrew, which from the engineering perspective, and an incredible individual.
He's very passionate.
And one of the things that impressed us when we went there again was that previous experience in the auto parts sector, which, as you said, is very cutthroat, very low margin. It's a tough business, and to be successful, you really have to be a tremendous innovator and know how to produce, know how to manufacture, which now you can take those skills and then transfer them into what you're doing now in a quick service restaurant.
And we're even seeing now in the current food automation group, where we really stand out from our competitors is you see that industry background knowledge, where a lot of people are creating interesting solutions, let's say from a technology standpoint, but it's not reliable. You see it doesn't work in a kitchen. So like you said, having that background where you know how to produce, you know how to manufacture, you know how to make things reliable, it's really shining now when we're putting products into the field.
So the team monetizes that value, does really well in Sumo, and then all of a sudden in 2020, what sort of got you interested in the quick service restaurant business question. And how you can make money there? Because that's a very interesting area, and of course it's a massive market.
So they sold the business in 2016. And I'll give the credit to them. And they had the idea of, hey, the fast food industry, the QSR industry, the food service industry, if you look at their back of house operations, it's a lot like a factory. It's all about doing the same tasks as repeatably, as cost efficient, as reliable as possible. But the processes haven't changed for 80 years. It's still very labor intensive. There's no sort of quality control. So, they saw it as a blue ocean, let's say, where again we could apply that background in automation to now a market in need. I started my studies of computer science at the University of Waterloo in 2019. So I finished my first year, came home a few weeks early because of COVID. And, I'm not someone who can sit around. So I had 4 or 5 months free, more or less. And I told them, I said, look, this is a great opportunity where now, I can dedicate myself full time for a few months to try and put something together and let's see what happens. So that's what we did. And by the time it was September and time to go back to school, I told my mother, I said, I think I found my calling. So I think you'll have me.
I'm sure she didn't like that at first.
She wasn't a fan, but today she says, you know what, you've done okay. I'm happy. So yeah, that's how we started. And, really what we're doing now is bringing automated solutions to kitchens in packages where they're plug and play. So plug and play means, with our products in 1 hour, you can install them into the kitchen. Doesn't change the restaurant's workflow, same square footage, same throughput, all of those critical factors, but it, cooks the food or makes the beverage fully autonomously.
Right, and so the product that we were able to see, and you could show us in your facility there, was this Chronog Grill, and maybe you could talk a little bit about that, because that seems to be a real great entry point into automation and building the relationships with the quick service restaurants. And I know you've been spending now a couple of years really developing and refining that, and now it's starting to roll out into some of the restaurants.
Correct. So when we first started, I think we made a very good decision, which was doing our market research at the beginning. So we knew automation, but we were green to the food services space. So probably for the first 18 months of the business, we really focused it on connecting with people in the industry, whether it be customers or vendors or third-party distributors, to learn about, okay, what are the pain points and what are the types of solutions which could potentially work in this space. We were fortunate to connect early on with Recipe Unlimited, which is formerly Para Foods. It owns Harvey's, The Keg, Montana, Swiss Chalet, around 15 brands here in Canada. So we toured many of their different groups, different restaurants, and really what we saw was that open flame grilling is the heart of many of their brands. So The Keg for steaks, Harvey's, Montana's for burgers. So open flame grilling is very important, but it's also one of the most dreaded jobs in the kitchen and one of the most inconsistent jobs in the kitchen. So really they tasked us with creating a automated open flame grill, which can perfectly cook their proteins, reliably, efficiently, all of those things. So that's what we did, and we created this Chronog Grill, which is a fully automated open flame grill. A big thing, we don't make custom products, so we also did our research at that time and saw that, hey, there's a number of brands, Burger King, Carl's Jr.'s, Hardee's, which also do open flame grilling in a very similar fashion. So let's start with Harvey's, who's right here in our backyard, and once it's proven, we can scale. So that's really at the stage we're at now. We've put it into 3 Harvey's corporate stores beginning January of this year. So we've been testing it out, proving the business case. We just did a joint press release with them a few weeks ago. We're putting it into the first franchisee store in a few weeks, which is kind of the last step. And by August, September, we're looking to now get an order to begin fulfilling most of their stores. And then a few weeks ago, as we were just talking, we went to the National Restaurant Association show in Chicago, so the biggest food show of the year. And we got a lot of great traction from some U.S. customers. So some very big theme parks, as well as some big fast food chains. Yeah.
To this video, we're going to link a couple of your videos, a couple of your corporate videos, so people can actually see the Chronog Grill in operation. I think what really impressed us was, as you say, the automation, more consistent. That's a big problem with the cooking, especially of the meat, which is in the protein in the steaks and the hamburgers and chicken and all of that. That's really the core of what people are coming in to buy. So if that's not cooked well and consistently, there's a problem. And also less waste. So again, it's more cost efficient. I think the thing that really caught our attention was it eliminates at least one person.
Yes.
Could eliminate maybe a
Yes.
bit more, but at least one person.
Yes.
And again, hiring good people to come into your store is tough in restaurants. The turnover is high,
Yeah.
and the increasing cost, minimum wage, which
Yeah,
is
in Southern
actually,
California.
yeah, I mean, the minimum wage has gone way up, and so these restaurants are under a lot of pressure. So
Mhm.
if you can automate and have better consistency, less waste, eliminate at least one person, and so forth. And then these things, what we, in terms of the pricing model, when we talk to you, that when you price this out, it's almost basically cash flow positive
Exactly.
for the restaurant owner
Yeah.
day one.
Yeah.
So the way you price it, maybe just talk a little bit about sort of in general the pricing model, so that not only can someone put this into their operation and automate, but they're actually saving money right off the bat, which is another tremendous advantage, and it goes into the kitchen in such a way that it doesn't disturb the layout of the kitchen.
That's
So
it.
you've made it so, as you say, you can plug and play.
Mhm.
When you do all of that, it becomes very, very attractive for these restaurants, which are having a tough time making money.
Very difficult time making money. I'd say that, most restaurants are just surviving, and their margins are so thin. So solutions like this, if it can really make a big impact for them, it's huge. I'd say that definitely the labor savings are the foot in the door for customers. But once you start working with them, you see that quality and consistency is the biggest benefit. Because, if you go to, let's say, a Harvey's and you get a really overcooked or undercooked burger, the chances that you're going to go again are close to zero, and they've just lost a customer. But if you're serving a perfectly cooked burger every time, that's huge. And it also makes it a lot easier for the brand to scale and to be consistent across many of their stores. But definitely there's a big labor portion. We're working through that with all of our customers now. We provide them a lot of support, and I think that that's key in terms of, looking at ways where you can, reanalyze your kitchen, because it's also different for them. And again, speaking to the automotive days, that's where we're bringing our industrial engineering background and saying, okay, how do you lay out your kitchen, kind of putting on a different hat. So, no, if you break down the cost of the machine per month, you can finance it. Definitely, you can get a net positive with all of those other savings and benefits, with the consistency and the less waste as a kind of cherry on top.
Yeah. When we were by your shop, we also noticed a lot of young guys sitting in front of computers.
Yeah.
And so you got some real computer wizardry going on there.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting how you're using AI and also connectivity. So as these Chronog Grills go out into all the various restaurants, of course, the issue is how do you maintain them?
Mhm.
How do you make sure they're operating properly, service them, keep up with what's going on? And maybe just talk about how you're building really connectivity between all these units.
So in-field success is a huge thing, because, a big difference, let's say, between here and the auto parts space is that in manufacturing facilities, you have your own dedicated maintenance team. Here in a restaurant, you don't, and there's really no room for downtime, especially if it's during a lunch or dinner rush. So for all of our products, we're monitoring them remotely from our HQ here in Oakville. So we're able to see, we have live video stream, and we're also monitoring all the components inside. So let's say a motor, we can sense if it starts becoming weak. We can send in a technician ahead of time to replace that motor before it breaks. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely been a big thing, how to make it easy to service, and really at the end of the day, eliminate the need for any service.
Yeah.
That's
no, it's powerful. I mean, and that again is something that takes the pressure off of the owner of the restaurant. They got enough things to worry about.
Exactly.
If they know at least that consistency and the serviceability is going to be there, would seem to me to be very attractive to them.
And just add one other point. Our long-term vision is to it doesn't stop with grilling. So we view each task in the restaurant kind of as its own modular section. So let's say we perfect now grilling. The next thing for burgers is garnishing, so putting the toppings on top. So that's where, when the time comes, we would look at doing a system for the garnishing and having the grill speak with the garnishing station. So I call it the puzzle piece approach. Puzzle piece by puzzle piece, you're kind of putting them in, and eventually at the end, it will create a picture of what might be a fully automated kitchen.
So just to finish up on the Chrono Grill, then that's now been rolled out to a number of corporate stores and
Correct.
Harvey's, going out to the franchisees. One of the benefits of the restaurant industry is it's quite consolidated. So if you get into, say, Harvey's, as you say, they're part of a much larger organization, and if they like it there, it would seem to me that that should get picked up across other restaurants and other opportunities and so forth. So maybe just sort of blue sky. I mean, again, I know these are estimates, but what you think in terms of the potential market there is over the next few years for yourself?
Our goal at the end of this year is to have a few dozen products in field between the grill and our other product, which I'm sure we'll dive into. Next year, we'd be looking to, early or Q2 next year, we'd be looking to raise our Series A round, and that would be used to start fulfilling the large scale orders for Harvey's. There's another big customer in Canada we're also beginning to test with. So for Harvey's, for them, for these US customers I mentioned. So I'll put it this way, the customers that we're testing with, especially when you get into the US, some of them have a few thousand stores. So if you just get one of those groups and you get their buy-in, you could be looking at a few thousand units easily in the next 2-3 years.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So maybe again, one of the things when we went by your shop, your facility there, you got some pretty sharp people, and the minds are always going in terms of opportunities. But one of the challenges is to focus, right? So the Chrono Grill is a real focus, and then you were also developing another really interesting technology for another quick service restaurant type idea and servicing when it came to beverages, which is very well developed now and well along in terms of being implemented. Maybe just talk about that in terms of what you can say about that in the client.
So we got a great opportunity with probably the best client you could ask for, maybe 18 months ago, and the opportunity there is to kind of automate their beverage process specifically for coffees. And at the time, we had a lot of people telling us, don't do it. You got to focus on one product. But we said, as entrepreneurs and business owners, and having started this business, we said how we'd be crazy to pass up an opportunity like this. So we decided to take that one on as well. And it's been going great. It's really, if you look at the concept of that machine, it's ingenious. I mean, it's very difficult to, of course, make as well, but the concept there is there's nothing really like it. So we're going to be putting the first one into store for this product in the next 3 weeks. It's actually going to be most likely here in Burlington on Burloak.
Okay. Good. We'll go see it.
Exactly. So that this brand is going to test it for around 2-3 months, the first one, and then right after we're going to do 5 units for 2-3 months. And then right after that, 30 units for 2-3 months, and then start looking to scale it within the organization.
Well, we saw a working module of it in your facility there. It really is impressive, and I mean it will change the way coffee actually is delivered.
And there's a lot of in principle similarities with the grill, where again fits into their existing footprint, uses their existing equipment. Doesn't change the taste of the product or the workflow. These are kind of going back to the early stages, a testament to all of the market research we did, and I think where we're really differentiating from a lot of people who have tried in this space or also trying.
No, we're thrilled to be investors in the company, and we've met all the key players and very dynamic, energetic, seasoned individuals, and. It's great to see the energy when you go in and the excitement within the organization in terms of what you're building. You also have been recognized by some government agencies also in terms of innovation here in Ontario and technology. Maybe just a quick word on that, because it's always nice when you get recognized and you can pick up some non-dilutive checks.
That's it, exactly. We're big on that. Well, I mean, to even take a step back, Canada really has a huge brain dump. And it's only accelerated in the past few years, where we have these great schools, McMaster University, Waterloo, and 60-70% of the graduates end up going to the US because although they might want to stay at home, there's no interesting companies for them to be a part of. So I think a big thing for us has been having, and I'll kind of use quote unquote that Silicon Valley vibe here in the GTA.
Mm.
And because of that, we've been able to attract the greatest minds and also, bring on board government grants, non-dilutive government grants. So we've done a number of them in the past few years. Our biggest one has been with CFIN, the Canadian Food Innovation Network, where we were granted 1.6 million Canadian in non-dilutive funding, and that's, I think to date we've gone around 1.1, and we'll get the other $500,000 this year. A lot with a group called IRAP, where we've already done a few $100,000. We're just kicking off another project. So a number of grants, and we utilize them however we can. I mean, I think it's investing in companies like ours are probably one of the best ways that they're spending their money today.
Yeah. That's great. It was interesting because the way I met Kristian was through LinkedIn.
Yes.
And you saw me and you went after me and said, I want to talk to you about what we're doing and excitement. And I thought, oh, who is this guy? And but you were persistent, and I appreciate that. Yeah. And then we also have one of your advisory board members. I worked with him for quite a few years, going back in one of my when I was at AIC funds and running AIC funds. And so I was able to talk to him also, and he's a sharp mind, and he, again, just collaborate and talk about what you're doing was very helpful in terms of analyzing the business. So I appreciated that. So I appreciate your tenacity.
Thank you very much.
And the energy. And so we're thrilled to be investors. And what we'll do is we'll attach, a couple of videos, some of your corporate videos to this one, and then our clients can check out Gastronomist and one of the holdings that we have in our ROCKLINC Partners Fund. And I think that over the next number of years, this should be a very good return. And what's interesting also about it is as their technology gets rolled out into a number of these restaurants, you'll be able to go in and actually see it in operation. And that'll be fun also. So.
And taste the food.
Which is, exactly. We had some served the first time we were in, so that was great. They have endless number of hamburgers. I think Harvey's was providing you with all the hamburgers you wanted.
I'm Harvey's out. We've had the whole team.
Exactly. So thank you very much, Kristian, for coming.
John.
Appreciate it.
Real pleasure.
Very good.